Alright. I am so desperate. Alright. Yeah. Okay, well that answers that question. I have to cut this pan. So this is just kind of a positioning fit. As you can see, I'm going to have to cut that right out. The original transmission mount will have to come out of there. So that engine's definitely got to go back. All this has got to be dealt with. And how we're going to mount this engine in the car as well. This is just a mock-up block. Paid $50 for. I got all the rest of the head parts for it, but it was basically sitting outside in someone's yard. It's K24. So I just needed a mock-up block to kind of get an idea of... Yeah, so I'm going to leave this in here for the rest of the day, but I am going to have to pull it out, and we are going to remove that. This whole engine bay, all this paint is unfortunately got to be redone. It was such a beautiful job they did on this car originally, but I'm going to set that back up here for a second. All the wiring's out there, right there, ready to go. If you guys got any questions, let me know. Put a 350 in it. This used to have it did have a 5.3 LS in it. That is a TSS Fab subframe. This car is actually set up for an LS motor. The issue is the transmission for an LS is wickedly expensive compared to the $500 BRZ transmission that we have. I'm gonna set this C-Rest bumper back on here. We're gonna start sanding this down soon. The wrap for the car should be in this week. I had a bit of a nightmare. We ordered up a chrome wrap for this car, Easy Auto Wrap. And next thing you know, we get a delivery notification saying that, oh, your wrap has been delivered. We checked with UPS, and apparently it was delivered in Alberta. Long story short, they had a computer glitch. The right rolls of wrap got sent to the right addresses, but with the wrong names. So when UPS does their tracking, they do it by tracking number, but they send their notifications out by name. And what happened then is that we get a notification that the roll of wrap is sitting in Alberta. They won't tell us why. Don't really know, so. Okay. So I'm gonna have to cut this pan. I already knew that, but I just wanted to see for myself. So this engine is gonna have to definitely go lower. Yeah, it definitely needs to go a little bit lower. Yeah. Otherwise, it does actually, there's so much room in here. There is so much room in here. We're gonna bolt a nice big turbo to the engine that is coming for this car. It is going to be so nice. Put a 350 in it. Yeah, I thought about that. We have a 350 sitting, well, they have 2 to 5 liter sitting in my Chevy truck, but we use that truck. So that initially is what it is going to look like with the K24. I'll bring it over. I've just got to kind of sit in there. I got to check the level. The block should be tilted back a bit. This is literally just the initial kind of idea. The engine is definitely going to go back a bit and get dropped. This was just, like I said, a mock-up block. You got any questions? Anything? No. 2 people watching. What's happening, guys? If you got any questions or any suggestions or ideas, let me know. I have never K-swapped anything in my entire life. This is the first time I have done this with a K motor. Like I said, we had an LS in here, and then it turned out to have a blown head gasket, which really sucked, considering it was sold to us as a guaranteed running engine. So we're having a little trouble procuring the K24 that we originally thought we were getting, because we were going to be buying it in a 06 CRV running, so we could take everything out of the CRV and just transplant it into this car initially. But that's turning out to be a bit of a nightmare, so. Now, so I have no idea how this engine is going to mount, so I know really nothing about the K series motors other than that they are pretty awesome from what everyone says. They all have forged bottom ends to handle a ton of power without having to open it up and mess with it. That's about all I know, and that they're Honda. You can get adapters to bolt them to anything. So K24 I know is not going out of the series is not the most desired. But that being said, it makes it perfect for us because we're trying to keep the budget of this build way down. Because, well, who has money for this stuff these days in this economy, right? I kind of want to prove that this car could be bought and rebuilt on a high schooler's budget. And so far, we're on track for that because we financially have almost nothing into this car. We've been very lucky that way. That being said, you know, we are going to start getting to some of the pricier bits, so I'm going to be scouring wrecking yards, marketplace. Because, yeah, parts are going to have to be coming here. I don't know if we're going to go with a aftermarket pan, if we're going to buy the kit to notch this pan. I've seen the kit that we can notch this pan with, and I know I can do it. Just not sure yet. I've got to get the other motor here somehow, some way. I've got to get that motor here. Not sure. Problem being is the CRV that the motor's in, it might have gotten crushed. We haven't confirmed that yet. But a buddy of mine bought a CRV with a blown engine, swapped in a good low kilometer engine into the CRV, did everything perfect, fired it up and discovered that not only was the previous engine in this thing blown, that it had, I think, like park, reverse, neutral, and like 4 more neutrals. So he was just like, oh my God, I give up on this thing. I don't ever want to see it again. And he was going to sell it to us for an unbelievably low price. I saw a video of the engine running and everything. It sounded great. But it was at a wrecking yard. And unfortunately, I think it might have gotten crushed. I'm trying to find out still, but if not, if anyone's got a smoking deal on a running K24, I need engine, harness, immobilizer key, ECU, all that. If you don't have the key, love to hear it running, but if not, well, that's a risk I might be willing to take if the price is right. But you know, we'll save that for a later date. So for now, it's kind of the initial fit. We're going to try and start test fitting the transmission tomorrow, possibly, to get an idea of where that's going to sit. With that BRZ transmission and the fact that everything's sitting so far back, I'm going to have to modify the shifter. I'm going to have to move the shifter, actually. Another thing I've never done before, but I'm learning about that as well. Got to get paint strippers, strip all the paint out of this engine bay, finish the interior, which the interior is almost done. We're just the rest of the material we were waiting for has arrived. Oh, it's such a shame about this engine bay. It was a multi-stage strawberry mirror chrome. It had primer, black, chrome, and then this candy over the chrome, and it was a stunning effect back in the day. Like, this car was at SEMA in 2012 for BF Goodrich, so this car, when it was in its prime, was absolutely stunning. It was built by a gentleman who was a body man and owned his own shop, so like the paint job and the body work on this car was second to none. This wide body kit, which is bonded to the car, it's almost perfect all the way around. Like, the only bad side is this front bumper, and the story behind why this front bumper looks as bad as it does is that this car was taken to a shop in Richmond because it wasn't running right. The shop no longer exists. That's part of the story as well. The previous owner of the car took the car to a shop in Richmond and then didn't hear from the shop apparently for weeks, discovered the shop midnight moved. But while it was at the shop originally, they blew up the motor. The front bumper was off the car sitting next to the dyno. Another car came into the dyno. They were doing dyno runs with this other car. I think it was a Mustang or something, but it blew a coolant line and it completely soaked the front bumper in like super hot coolant. Completely messed up the front bumper. That's why it looks the way it does. This thing is so light. I love it. But original fiberglass C West front bumper. We are going to redo this whole bumper. It is awesome. I love this thing. We're going to add some carbon fiber to it as well. The car is going to be getting a complete flat bottom aerodynamics underneath it. fits like a glove. Like it's better than a factory bumper. If you ever get a C West bumper, I'm not sponsored or anything, but the look is epic. But this is for a sedan. The fenders are off I believe a JDM S202. These were the tires, the G4 Sport TAs that BF Goodrich actually used this car to debut. These are still the tires from SEMA. They are perfect. The car has no mileage on it. 32-way helix coilovers. We're going to keep running those for a while, but eventually we would like to go to an air ride system. The interior is coming along if you want to take a look. I'm sorry about the dust. It's just washing it in here is a pain. So I got whole prism seats, the Sakura pattern. Those are not faded. That's how it's looked. Everything is starting to come along nicely with this car. It's just been an absolute nightmare getting parts. An absolute nightmare getting parts. This engine needs to come down probably about 3 solid inches, maybe 2. But I want to lower it as low as I can get it so we can get it back. I have to cut that transmission out. So it's going to take the hood off to just prop it up, because every time I take something off this car, it gets scratched. The goal is to have this car running under its own power ASAP. List of things left to do. This engine bay is getting stripped right down. After we strip the engine bay down, we're going to repaint the engine bay. I got to extend the steering shaft because the TSS fab subframe for the LS that was in this car lowers everything down quite a bit. Like that lower subframe is going to sit quite low, but I am never going to have to really worry about hitting the oil pan or anything, because it's going to be covered, and we are going to have a flat bottom on this car. I'm going to be 3D printing some aero bits and possibly making molds for them as well, because there's just some stuff I want that nobody makes for this car anymore. I've got to keep reminding myself that this car is 24 years old, and getting some of the cool stuff that you want for this car is just, it's not available. There's are lots of off-the-shelf options for this car, but there are also not. So yeah, I cannot wait to get an actual running engine in this car and have this car started under its own power. I'm going nuts wanting this car. Hi. What is good? Okay, so well, we got one person watching. That is awesome. So that one person watching, welcome. You didn't come at the beginning of it. Yeah, I got the K24 just kind of sitting on blocks in here on top of the subframe. Just trying to get an idea for how tall this motor is going to be inside this engine bay. But I am going to either cut that pan, or I'm going to buy a front sump pan for this, or maybe even a dry sump if a company would love to sponsor that in this car. This is not the engine we're using. It is just a mock-up block that I bought for 50 bucks. If you're wondering why it looks like that, it's because it was sitting in somebody's yard for a year. But as a mock-up block, it's great. I do need to get a valve cover for it, though, so I can get a true idea of the actual height of what is going to be under the hood of this car. But it is going to be a K24 unless a K20 miraculously falls into my lap. But people are asking an absolute fortune where I am for these motors right now, so I don't think it'll be a K20 anytime soon. It was an LS. That is a TSS fab subframe set up for an LS in there. But we want a 6-speed, and a 6-speed behind an LS is just ridiculously, for the cost of just the transmission. I can do this whole swap with a transmission with the K motor, so, and I can make just as much horsepower, especially with the turbocharger. And this motor, yeah, this will be turboed. We are going to turbo this car, possibly. I don't really think much more than 350 horsepower at the rear wheels, because it is rear wheel drive. Doesn't really need that much. It's going to be driven on the street a fair bit. It's not going to be a daily, but it is going to get a fair bit of use, that's for sure. And it is not my car, it is my wife's car. She wanted something different. We were looking at a TRD BRZ, or the TRD GT86, and it turned out to be a Tinu GT86. We looked at a few other cars and we just got frustrated. And then we found this, and long story short, we ended up paying only $1,800 for the whole car as a roller. No engine, because the previous engine had been blown up, and then the shop that had the car, I guess they midnight moved, abandoned the car in the back of the shop, and the previous owner had to go rescue the car at like 1 in the morning. Hence, the car is not perfect. It's a long way from perfect, but it's a long way from not being perfect as well. So much good stuff on this car. But yeah, we got a K24. We got a massive exhaust for this car. If you're just tuning in, here's the exhaust. This came with the car as well. This is one of the pieces of the exhaust for this car. So it's going to sound absolutely amazing. And this thing is so light, like nothing to it. It's amazing how light the K24 motor is. I actually picked that thing up by myself one time. I'm tempted more horsepower, but I think 300 to 350 horsepower with the turbocharger will be absolutely plenty for this car. It is gone rear wheel drive. All the center of gravity is low. The weight balance is getting much closer to 50-50 with this car. Being that it's rear wheel drive, it's going to, I think 300 to 350 horsepower is more than enough for this car, because it is going to be driven on the street. We would like to do a little bit of drifting, maybe some autocross, have a little fun with the car, but predominantly it's going to be for cruising and for shows. We have a really good show scene and a really good car scene out in the Kootenays here. We have meets every week. There's lots of really nice cars, stuff you wouldn't even expect out here. So it's going to be a car that is going to get used a lot once it's running under its own power. I know it's taken me forever to get to this stage, but life happens, and but we're getting close. Like I said, next is trying to get the CRV with the motor here, so I can strip that engine out, get the wiring all out, get the ECU out, get it into the car, get it bolted up to the 6-speed that we have. I think what do they call that? TL70. It's 2014 BRZ 6-speed that is going behind the K24 in this car. And then a nice little, probably a Mishimoto radiator. Got some Mishimoto fans. We are going to be doing something to the rear suspension in this car as well, but I'm going to keep that to a later date. But we do have some big plans for the rear end of this car. This car is going to be a bit obnoxious with this. We do have a set of exhaust bypasses that we're going to put one in this car. Probably going to be a bumper dump on the side, so this car is expected to shoot flames at the side of the bumper. We are going to build it for that. It's definitely going to be a bit obnoxious. We want to add some carbon fiber aero to the sides and the side skirts of this car. We do want to kind of bring it up to more of a modern standard, but we also want to respect the original build, being that it was a car at SEMA in 2012 for BF Goodrich. It's hard to see, but the stickers still have it burned in here where it says BF Goodrich on the side of this car. If you want to see what the car looked like in its prime, go on YouTube. It's not my video, but it was a video that was taken back in the day. Look up Team Hybrid WRX. You'll see this car sitting there, full chrome EJ20. It was an amazing car for its day. Like, it definitely stood out. This car has a Spocom sword from the Anaheim Super Show in 2011 or 12. It has a Motion Show sword trophy as well. It has a whole bunch of trophies from back in the day. The car was originally from Vegas. It was sold to a guy from Vancouver who was put in a collection, then sold again, and then some horrible stuff happened to this car courtesy of, I'm not even really going to get into it right now because I just don't want to piss certain people off, but the car is a survivor. This car has literally been dragged onto flat decks in gear with chains through these wheels, which were, I believe, a one-off set of work rims that were made for this car for SEMA. They were a staggered offset, so that means all four are the same width, but the rear ones definitely have a little bit more lip. If you want to see, not too much lip on these wheels. They are, the front one's got a little bit of lip there, and then the back one have just a little bit more. We are going to start looking for a shop to have these wheels restored. Acted work. They really just were like, yeah, you want to buy a new set, and we got these, that, and this, but not those. So I really wasn't feeling like going there with that. Let's see here, yeah. What's good? What's good? Well, I'm going to sign off for a bit, and I will be back. For those that were watching, thank you, and we will see each other again.